The imagery of the creature from the Black Lagoon has captivated our imaginations for almost 75 years. But what if I told you there was a real creature from a mud lagoon?
August 8th, 2017, North Queensland, Australia. David White, who runs cruises in the Daintree River Wildlife Preserve, is hoping to capture footage of a crocodile he'd spotted earlier in the day. But instead, he captures something much more disturbing. A tide pool sits undisturbed. Something sticks out of the water. Still, it could almost be a rock. But then, slowly, it begins to descend straight down into the pool. It goes down, 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 until eventually it sinks under the surface and out of view, leaving only a tiny bubble in its wake. Is this a creature, a rock, or something else entirely? Field researcher Ken Gerhardt believes we could be looking at a famed monstrosity from the land down under.
When I think of Australia, I think of the bunyip. Like many legendary creatures, the bunyip has various interpretations, but the most common one is that it is an aquatic creature covered in hair with a head like a dog, very large and powerful. And the Aboriginal people greatly fear the bunyip because it's said to come onto the land at night and drag its unwilling victims back into the swamp.
Bunyip sightings were reported in Australian newspapers throughout the 19th and 20th centuries, dating as far back as 1851, where it was reported that a bunyip had killed an Aboriginal man and had to be speared to death.
Being that the bunyip legend is so prevalent throughout Australia, I think we have to stop and consider the possibility that what we could be looking at here might be at the root of this bunyip mythology.
So the theory suggests that this is in fact some kind of living thing. Is it possibly a new discovery? Australian taxonomists name an average of 1,000 new species each year, and it's estimated that 2/3 of the continent's total species remain undocumented. Let's see what our experts can discover.
Some have guessed that we're looking at the front tip of an Indo-Pacific crocodile, a species prevalent in this region, but our marine biologist is skeptical.
I can rule this out entirely as a crocodile because I don't see any of the body or head features of a crocodilian. It's not behaving like a crocodile. It's coming vertically up out of the water. And we have a little bit of size reference here when we see the bubble on the surface of the water, which means whatever this is, it's actually pretty small. And in addition to that, it actually has pretty smooth skin.
For those same reasons, both size and smoothness, Steingast thinks this creature contradicts reports of the legendary bunyip.
I would probably rule out that this is a bunyip, especially because the bunyip is said to hunt at night, and this footage was taken during the day.
Then what is it?
Based on this video and looking at the environment, I think this is actually a mud skipper.
The mud skipper is a fish that can spend as much time in air as in the water. It can grow up to 12 inches in length, breathes through its skin, and uses its fins like legs to walk. But NASA geologist Bob Anderson says that can't be, because the environment is just too harsh for most known animals.
The environment around it, it's very carbonaceous. There's probably a lot of sulfate because the landscape is white, so it's very toxic. It's not where a reptile, an alligator, or anything would want to live because there's no food source for them.
So does that rule out any living organism? Not exactly.
If you notice, there's a slight green tint to the creature. And so most likely that is a living organism. That's what we call an algal mat.
An algal mat is a mat of algae that may grow in water or on rocks in both toxic and non-toxic environments, which can balloon up and float to the surface while forming.
In fish tank, you'll see algae build up. And if you have a pump in there, you'll see that the algae literally starts to rise because the air bubbles get trapped underneath. To lift that mat into the air, release it, and then the mat goes back down to the bottom.
Makes sense in theory, but algal mats tend to look like, well, mats. This thing has a completely different shape. So what gives?
Our verdict? Unknown organic specimen. While our experts disagree on what this mysterious mud creature is, they both concur that it is in fact an organic life form of some sort, proving that even in the harshest of environments, life finds a way.